Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 45 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
San Diego County is still deep in a housing crisis, but there are signs of progress. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. The California Housing Partnership has released its annual Affordable Housing Needs Report. KPBS reporter Katie Hyson says the numbers offer glimmers of hope.
State and federal funding for housing in San Diego County fell this last fiscal year by almost 10%. Still, thousands of new rent-restricted units were constructed or acquired, a 90% increase from the year before. It's needed. Almost 80% of the county's extremely low-income households pay more than half their income on housing. And nearly 130,000 low-income renter households don't have access to an affordable home. But those numbers are down slightly from the year before. Stephen Russell is the president of the San Diego Housing Federation.
Maybe we've hit the bottom of the depth of the crisis, but we're still underwater.
Russell says San Diego hasn't built enough housing to meet demand since 2004. He estimates about 150,000 more homes are needed. He thinks San Diego's largest employers should get involved in the effort. And there's a measure on the ballot he thinks could help: a tax on vacant homes.
There's no one silver bullet. We need to do all of these things if we're going to see the other side of this crisis.
Katie Hyson, KPBS News.
The San Diego County Board of Supervisors is set to vote on a number of proposed reforms to the county's charter this Tuesday. Today, Supervisor Joel Anderson introduced a set of amendments to the proposal that he says are needed. KPBS reporter Alexander Nguyen has been following this story and brings us the latest.
Changing the charter is not a simple vote that can be reversed.
Supervisor Joel Anderson says the reforms set forth by Board Chair Tara Lawson-Remer were rushed and riddled with errors.
I don't think that my colleagues did it purposefully.
Anderson was one of two votes against the proposed reforms last month. He says major reforms such as this need careful consideration. This is the first time the county will be updating the charter in nearly 50 years.
I think it's really important that we understand that we have till August. There's no rush, and this is the biggest vote I will make on this board in my lifetime.
Among Anderson's amendments is to leave term limits as they are. Currently, supervisors are limited to 2 four-year terms. Lawson-Remer's proposed reforms would extend that to 3 terms. Anderson says that's self-serving.
My proposal makes sure that the currently elected supervisors cannot extend their own term limits.
Anderson was joined by District Attorney Summer Steffen, Sheriff Kelly Martinez, and County Assessor Jordan Marks. The current reform proposal would also limit their time in office to 3 terms. Right now, there are no limits on how long they can serve. Sheriff Kelly Martinez says the county cannot legally set term limits for these offices, so it's a moot point to include them in the charter.
Term limits on these offices can only be created at a state level. If the intent is to level set term limits for all elected officials, the lawful course is to do that with state-authored legislation.
Anderson says there's some good in the proposed charter reform, but it also has some flaws. His amendment fixes those flaws. Lawson-Remer says his amendment would gut charter reform and protect powerful insiders.
In a statement, Lawson-Remer says these amendments would hollow out the reforms the county residents are asking for. She says people across San Diego County spent a year helping build a reform package that would finally bring stronger oversight, transparency, checks and balances, and accountability into county government. But the minute accountability started applying equally across county government, carve-outs started appearing. The charter reform package will get a second reading Tuesday. Anderson's proposed amendments would be discussed then. If passed, the reforms would head to a public vote in November. Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
Well, tonight we have those low clouds returning for many areas, at least near the coast and maybe just a few miles inland. The low marine layer of clouds, mainly clear skies inland. We'll get down into the 50s and 60s in most areas, low 60s at that. This weekend, by the way, Saturday evening through Monday morning, dangerous swimming conditions. Big waves out there, big swells, 4 to 6 footers, some even 7-foot wave heights, and it will be windy in the interior as well. We'll talk about the details ahead.
In a busy election year, there is one state office that's sometimes overlooked: the Lieutenant Governor. KPBS military and veterans reporter Andrew Dyer went to a veterans roundtable with Democratic candidate Josh Friday.
Democrat Josh Friday now serves in Governor Gavin Newsom's cabinet as the state's chief service officer. He also served in the Navy as a Judge Advocate General, or JAG. The former Navy lawyer says as Lieutenant Governor, he can make an impact on two of the issues people care about most: education and housing. Not only does he sit on the boards of all the state's higher education systems,
Lieutenant Governor also sits, the only person who sits on the Coastal Commission, the Ocean Protection Council, and the State Lands Commission. So it's a really important role for our environment and in making sure we're actually solving some of the problems, including at the Tijuana River.
Friday met for an hour with 9 local military veterans. Former Marine Infantry Officer Jonathan Liu among them. Liu volunteers with Afghan EVAC, which helps resettle Afghans in the U.S. He says he sees volunteering to help Afghans during a difficult time for all immigrants as a continuation of his service.
I think that's just a continuation of upholding the Constitution, due process, especially for those more vulnerable than us. As a person of color, I'm in a position where I am vulnerable, but at the same time, as a veteran, I believe that gives me a degree of privilege that I do want to leverage as much as I can. And I think as veterans, we have a duty to speak up for that.
We've told Friday he'd like to see more state support for immigrants. Other issues the veterans keyed in on are familiar ones: housing, healthcare, and education. It's the first time Marine veteran Elise Jenkins has ever been to a meeting like this. The high-tech high school teacher says she wants students to know they can also make their voices heard.
I think this is a really cool opportunity for me to sit down with potentially an elected official and have him hear my voice. And I feel like I'm kind of leading from the front in that way. But also I want students to recognize that they have the power to do that as well.
Lou says he'd like to see more veterans take active roles in the community.
I do believe as veterans, we have a certain degree of credibility and social capital that crosses any type of partisan divide. I think as millennials, we tend not to wear that as our identity, maybe compared to other generations, but what I've learned is by leveraging that background, you bring a level of credibility to the table that others may not have and use it to your advantage.
Friday says he's just here to listen. He's been endorsed by Gavin Newsom and the major state teachers unions. He's in a crowded Democratic field that includes State Treasurer Fiona Ma and former Stockton Mayor Michael Tubbs. Even the leading Republican was recently a Democrat. Gloria Romero spent more than a decade in the state legislature before switching to the Republican Party in 2024. Andrew Dyer, KPBS News.
The June 2nd primary election is less than a month away. You can stay informed by visiting the KPBS Voter Hub, and there you can check your registration status, find information on state and local races, and view explainers from KPBS staff. We also have a Spanish version. Just go to kpbs.org/vote. A new report on conditions at detention centers across the state shows overcrowding is a major issue due to an increase in arrivals. The California Department of Justice has reviewed the state's 7 immigration detention facilities. The report said the Otay Mesa Detention Center is experienced surges in population that have impacted intake process time, cleanliness of the housing units, and the availability of numerous other resources. The report also found that 6 detainees died in ICE custody in California between September 2025 and March 2026, the highest number in nearly a decade. The DOJ says it underscores the need for greater accountability and oversight. Refugees from countries like Iraq and Afghanistan have for years settled in El Cajon, and since the turn of the century, the multi-generational community has become part of the city's fabric. In part 2 of a 2-part series, KPBS East County reporter Elaine Alfaro shares how one organization has supported refugees.
The walls at License to Freedom are painted vivid colors: tangerine, lime green, and pomegranate. This is not by accident. It's so the offices of this organization serving El Cajon's refugee community feel like a home. Specifically, a home in Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, or a number of other Middle Eastern and North African countries. Kamar Al-Mwali is one of the therapists at License to Freedom.
You'll see the names of the rooms or the way they were designed, such as like the living room or the kitchen, to kind of mimic that feeling.
She says spaces like the kitchen set the table for the sometimes challenging conversations that she has with her clients about their homeland and their new life in a country thousands of miles away. Which is why a safe space is needed.
We work with a lot of families and kids who come in into here, and also just like a lot of people whose homes maybe represent some of what it looks like here. So that's what we are trying to do, is replicate the feeling of just being at home and feeling comfortable.
El Cajon has one of the largest refugee communities in San Diego County. It began in the 1970s and 80s when Chaldeans, mainly Christians from Iraq, settled in the city. Over the decades and through several wars, it's become a hub for asylum seekers and immigrants from the Middle East and North Africa. Business signs in both English and Arabic line El Cajon's main street. Conversations in Arabic, Dari, and other languages and dialects drift in and out of shops and restaurants. All of this is a testament to the energy and resilience of the immigrant communities. But behind the vibrant streets and storefronts, there is the trauma, loss, and insecurity that comes with the refugee experience. The need to address these issues is why Dilquaz Ahmed created License to Freedom in 2002.
And I just realized something gotta be done for my community. We need to create a space for them.
License to Freedom offers a range of support services, including housing navigation, therapy, case management, language classes, and more. There's an emphasis on supporting women who often bear family trauma. This draws from the experience Ahmed, the founder, had as a new refugee. She started with a simple goal: helping women learn to drive and get their driver's license, a big step toward independence.
When I came, there were zero services to meet the needs of refugee and immigrant communities, especially when it comes to issues of domestic violence. Zero.
On Monday mornings, a small group of around 10 women meet with case manager Nahid Sadiq and therapist Dr. Niyati Kadakia to talk about raising their children and adjusting to life in the U.S. One morning, Kadakia led the women through a practice where they were encouraged to connect to their younger selves. She also had them write love letters to themselves. Here's Kadakia.
So there is this beautiful almost pull and push of navigating this new identity, this new feminine, strong identity, while also grappling with cultural definitions of what it means to be a good woman.
In addition to group meetings, Ahmed created a class to help women start their own businesses. Marwa Hassan took the class.
I just attend the classes and it was very helpful to me. Everyone was nice and they supported me a lot.
She's now a community specialist for License to Freedom and runs a small business from her home. She makes and sells personalized art pieces that connect to her culture.
Here, we missed many stuff that represent our culture.
Hassan found that running her business and engaging with her clients has helped her retain her cultural connections.
You feel that you have power and you can do more and more for your family first and for the community around you.
Ahmed says that mentality proves these folks are here to make El Cajon their home. Elaine Alfaro, KPBS News.
Balancing the city of San Diego's budget is not easy. From public safety to housing, parks to potholes, every dollar matters. In our new interactive game, you make the tough calls. Play now at kpbs.org/budget challenge or scan the QR code on your screen. The war in Iran has led to a 10-week closure of the Strait of Hormuz. As a result, gas prices are more expensive today than at this point in the calendar in 2022. As the war continues, uncertainty looms over oil shipments to the U.S. Mayor Bel Gonzalez visited one of the busiest seaports in the nation to see how the flow of oil imports, or lack thereof, has been impacted by the conflict.
All the cargo that arrives into our port eventually makes its way to the rest of the country. The new Corolla tanker arrived at the Port of Long Beach in May, carrying 2 million barrels of crude oil, marking the last planned shipment for the California market to pass through the Strait of Hormuz since before the war with Iran began.
Approximately 20% of all the oil that arrives into the Port of Long Beach comes from the Middle East.
No one knows when the next one will transit the strait.
It shows you how the voyage was extended and how important oil from the Middle East continues to be, not just for the state of California, but for the United States.
But experts say this doesn't mean the U.S. will run out of oil.
The world is still getting 85 to 90% of the crude oil that it was getting before.
California, for example, is tapping into other sources.
For now, at least, California continues to get supplies from Saudi Arabia through the Red Sea in significant quantity, thus mitigating any potential impact of the loss of oil through the strait.
The problem is that the world has lost somewhere between 10 and 15% of the world's supply, and that means prices are going up everywhere.
The national average price of a gallon of gas is now around $4.50, according to AAA. But how much further these prices could rise depends on the duration of the war with Iran.
It wouldn't surprise me if the war continues to see prices get to $150 a barrel, and that would mean at least another $1 per gallon on the price of gasoline.
I'm Maribel Gonzalez reporting.
Here in San Diego County, the average price for a gallon of regular gas is $6.16. Despite the high prices, AAA predicts people will still be on the roads Memorial Day weekend. Our media partner KGTV's checked in with drivers to see if the price at the pump has changed their travel plans. While many are still traveling, they say they've found other ways to save.
We plan now. If we have to do something, we do like a carpool. I already have my monthly Pronto card. Especially for me, senior, I pay only like $125 for each ride, no matter how far I go.
I'm gonna see if me and my boys can just probably meet in the middle, probably like Arizona, something like that, do something out there.
MTS is offering a Friends Ride Free deal for Memorial Day. Every fare-paying passenger can bring one guest on board for free on all bus and trolley routes. Another way to save, make sure your car is running properly, which can help get the most gas mileage out of your car.
It's a breezy weekend, and we've made it to the weekend, but a few headlines for you. A windy weekend in the interior. It will be breezy near the coast, and that wind in general is also producing larger waves. So some dangerous swimming conditions out there. Surfers may love this, but make sure you're going to be especially safe and an experienced surfer. Maybe better out there than an inexperienced one, given the dangerous swimming conditions out there. Will be remaining dry. And tonight, partly cloudy, 61 degrees. But again, overall, just a breezy time. Inland warmth, not a bad time. You can see some cooler air up in Northern California, but we're going to be especially warm in the interior. And wind advisories are in effect Saturday and Sunday. Beginning by midday, some spots wind advisory starts at 11 a.m., other spots 2 p.m. Regardless, windy through the middle of the weekend, especially in the interior here, inland parts of San Diego County. You can see those wind animations there. Mount Laguna only 58, 87 a warm wind in Borrego Springs. Low 70s, a lot of 72s, El Cajon, Ramona, Escondido, 68 degrees for your high, Chula Vista and San Diego. Now, a beach hazards statement is in effect Saturday evening through Monday morning because of those big waves. So take those waves seriously. It could be dangerous out there. And again, don't take that too lightly. Wind and waves on Sunday. Front producing some extra wind in the neighborhood. And again, choppy surf, big waves out there. And then we'll have a cool start to the week behind this front as the wind reorients itself. A cooler Monday. Coastal forecast, low 70s. We're still going to be around 71 to 73. Not much of a temperature change there. In fact, along the immediate coastline, Monday may be every bit as warm as Sunday, even plus a degree, but it'll be a little bit different in some other areas. So cool across most of the interior. Inland areas, though, still mid-70s Monday and Tuesday until that wind kind of shifts around. And as we take you into the mountains, here's where you're going to experience the cool down. Sometimes the regional air mass is affecting different areas differently, but the cool air is going to be felt especially in the mountains here. Windy Saturday, wind advisory in effect into Sunday. We're going to lose about 5 or 6 degrees between Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Only 52 for your high. Kind of chilly for this time of the year in the mountains, but we're bouncing back nicely by Wednesday. We're back up to 71. And in the deserts, The 90s are held away here, only 85, 86 Sunday and Monday, and then we're going to ramp back up. By midweek, we do surge back into the upper 90s after that slightly cooler spell for some. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Jeff Cornish for KPBS News.
One of San Diego County's smaller museums recently underwent a big change. The Bonita Museum and Cultural Center has an all-new look thanks to a local artist. In our museum a month for May, KPBS reporter John Carroll has more on the change and the artist behind it.
Looking around this industrial setting, art might be one of the last things to come to mind. Stacks of seemingly useless scrap metal all around. But that changes quickly, entirely, once you meet the owner. Michael Leaf crafts his art out of all this, and it all started years ago while he was sleeping.
I had a dream about 22 years old of a hand that was cut out of metal and bent forward. And I walked up to it and I looked into the handprint and I was looking into outer space.
Leaf says he felt compelled to make what he saw. Fortunately, he had just the place to get that done.
So I went to my family's steel business here in South Bay. They've been here 65 years. I got a hold of a torch, I made the piece, I bent it forward and went, I'm doing this the rest of my life.
That was nearly 20 years ago. He says he was in a near state of shock when he sold his first piece.
6 months later, I sold another piece. 3 months after that, I sold another one and said, okay, there's something here. I have to pursue this. And then I asked to work here for free just to be around metal. And I'm coming on to my 19th year of making art around the world.
After his parents retired, Leaf took over this space and transformed it into his studio. Looking around, you see various pieces in process. A lot of this is destined for the Bonita Museum and Cultural Center. More on that in a moment. But first, to get a better understanding of who Michael Leaf is as an artist, there is a piece you need to see. It's just around the corner from the hallway gallery. You might call it his magnum opus. So tell me about this.
So this is the second to scale Last Supper on planet Earth. I just felt like making it, and when I learned the scale and size of the painting, I couldn't believe the numbers. It was 29 feet by 15 feet, 15 foot one. I thought I misread the paper because I have not seen the painting in real life.
But the numbers were correct. Leonardo da Vinci's masterpiece is massive. Leaf was undeterred.
It took 14 months to make this.
The apostles' garb is colorful. Their faces are not. They are the natural gray of the metal, and that is very much on purpose.
You can identify different tones of brown, essentially. Darker brown, lighter brown. Everything is off of that color. Nobody that I'm aware of is just straight up silver, and I wanted it to be all-encompassing and universal.
So what about Leaf's connection to the Bonita Museum? Within this manifestation of metal, you find the direct link between Michael Leaf and the Bonita Museum and Cultural Center. These beautiful glossy panels point the way. This is what the walls of the Bonita Museum and Cultural Center used to look like, a fairly nice modern stone motif, but you could easily miss the museum driving by on Bonita Road. Not anymore. As of late April, this is what the walls of the museum look like. Leaf's creation come to full-size life. The museum shares space in this complex with a sheriff's substation and the Bonita Library. It is a small place, just 2 rooms. But if you want to know about the history of the Sweetwater Valley, this is the place to be.
The museum is always free, which is great.
Wendy Wilson is the museum's executive director.
People don't know about Bonita, maybe about South Bay, so they'll get a little history about the Sweetwater Valley, a little bit about the first people here, the Kumeyaay, as well as moving into the early days of water with the Sweetwater Dam, and then going into some of the agriculture, some of the citrus that was in the region.
The cultural center side of things happens in this room. Various exhibitions come and go through the year. The next one opens on May 17th, San Diego's Plein Air, that's P-L-E-I-N. It features artists from around the region who paint outdoor scenes across the county, capturing the bright light, coastal vistas, and urban scenery in real time. Then those works are brought here for all to enjoy. Something permanent is happening outside. Apart from its colorful walls, the museum is working in conjunction with Michael Leaf to create what it calls a grand outdoor sculpture garden, anchored by this piece called Inner Strength. This metal human will be forever holding the two diverging steel bars in place. A metaphor, Leaf says, of just how strong we as a people are, both externally and internally, a beacon of resilience. You could also say an example of a homegrown native of the South Bay sharing his artistic gift to make his corner of our region a more beautiful, inviting place. John Carroll, KPBS News.
I'm Amna Nawaz. Tonight on the NewsHour, what, if anything, came out of the summit between President Trump and China's Xi Jinping? That's coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
And be sure to join us tonight for KPBS News This Week, where we revisit the most impactful and intriguing original reporting of the week. This week airs every Friday at 8:30 here on KPBS. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mai Trabulsi. Enjoy your evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 45 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.